welcome back. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something literally billions of people rely on every single day: tea. We are going to rigorously fact-check the actual science behind our daily brew. Is it really just some hot leaf juice that makes us feel cozy inside, or is it a scientifically backed brain booster? Let's find out. You know the feeling. It's 2 p.m., that dreaded midday slump hits hard, and the brain fog is just rolling in thick. So, naturally, you reach for a cup of tea. But does that daily cup actually make you smarter, or at least a bit sharper? Or are we all just letting the comforting warmth fool us into feeling productive? We all want an easy cure for the midday slump, and today we've got the data to see if tea actually delivers the goods. To understand what's actually happening on a biological level, we have to meet the two superstar bioactive compounds found in a tea plant. Think of L-Theanine and caffeine as this ultimate dynamic duo. Caffeine is your classic stimulant, right? It acts as the accelerator, giving you that quick energy and drive. But L-Theanine, which is an amino acid found almost entirely just in tea, is the steering wheel that smooths out the ride. It provides this calm, focused control to completely counteract those harsh, jittery spikes you get from caffeine alone. Now, to get to the absolute truth here, we aren't just looking at one random, isolated experiment. No way. We're unpacking a massive data synthesis, published in Nutrition Reviews, that combines 50 randomized controlled trials. We're talking heavy-duty academic research to finally separate the scientific facts from the cultural folklore. So here is our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The magic of tea. 2. Boosting brain power. 3. Mood and sleep impacts. 4. The scientific catch. And 5. Your daily brew.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, the magic of tea.
Okay, let's dive into this. How did the scientists actually isolate the facts from the fiction? Well, they started with an enormous pool of over 2,500 unique records. Then, they rigorously filtered and screened all that data down to just 50 highly reliable trials on healthy adults. These were the only ones that provided true, measurable behavioral outcomes that we can actually trust.
Moving right along to part 2, boosting brain power.
When it comes to raw brain processing, researchers zoomed in on a very specific metric: simple reaction time. And it turns out, combining theanine and caffeine gave subjects a distinct, completely measurable edge in reaction speed over a placebo. Now, don't let the statistical jargon intimidate you here. Just notice that central dotted line. That essentially represents a placebo, meaning zero difference. Those little diamond shapes show the overall effect of the trials. And because they are sitting squarely on the left side, it proves the data clearly and consistently favors the theanine-caffeine combo. Let's make that incredibly concrete for a second. In the second hour after having it, the combination sped up simple reaction times by an average of 26.54 milliseconds. Now, I know what you're thinking. 26 milliseconds sounds like literally less than the blink of an eye. But in cognitive processing terms, especially when you're doing things like driving a car or taking a timed exam, that is an exact, measurable, and highly meaningful improvement in keeping you sharp.
But let's be real. Our days are rarely just simple reactions, right? What about complex decision-making? Well, the data showed that this bioactive combo also led to improved choice reaction times and much better accuracy in vigilance tasks. Think of this as your brain's ability to not just react quickly, but to swiftly and correctly pick the right option when you're faced with multiple distractions.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the active duo consistently favors cognitive sharpness. Notice how the overall effect across all these studies, again, looking at those diamond markers, leans steadily over to the side favoring the treatment. It shows that taking theanine and caffeine together consistently boosts our complex processing power right when we need it most.
Okay, part 3, mood and sleep impacts.
Because honestly, what good is being sharp if you're totally miserable? When mapping subjective alertness and overall mood, researchers found a nice, small to moderate boost that actually peaked in the second hour. So not only are you making better, faster choices, but you genuinely feel happier doing it. It's a total win-win. But, what goes up must eventually sleep. And this is where the data gets kind of tangled. One study showed adults actually fell asleep faster, but then another hooked participants up to these advanced sleep monitors and found absolutely zero differences. And a study on super busy pharmacy students, totally unchanged sleep times.
The big takeaway here? Tea is fantastic for daytime focus, but its impact on your sleep remains highly, highly mixed and inconclusive.
Which brings us to part 4, the scientific catch.
Time for a quick reality check. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this massive sea of yellow and red indicators. Those represent some concerns and high risk of bias due to things like missing data. In fact, 0 out of the 50 studies were judged to be at a consistently low risk of bias. It just goes to show the noisy, somewhat uncertain reality of actual scientific research.
And the study authors are completely transparent about all this. They concluded, quote, more research using tea beverages or tea-equivalent bioactive doses and research in free-living participants is needed. What we repeatedly saw in this meta-analysis were wide confidence intervals. For you and me, the everyday tea drinker, that just means there is still a decent amount of uncertainty about the exact size of the effect. Most of these tests were done in highly controlled lab environments, often using pure isolated supplements with 100 or even 400 milligrams of theanine, rather than, an actual brewed cup of tea. We desperately need more real-world testing.
And finally, part 5, your daily brew. Let's bring all this dense science right back down to your morning routine. Here is your ultimate takeaway. If you take L-Theanine alone, say in a supplement or a cup of decaf tea, the research suggests it provides very subtle, relaxing cognitive support. It's a gentle lift. But when you combine theanine with caffeine, which is exactly what nature did when creating the tea leaf, you get a distinct, measurable focus and a solid reaction time boost. It is that scientifically backed jolt that powers you through the midday slump, but without the harsh, jittery crash of a pure caffeine rush. Which leaves us with one final, fascinating question to ponder. Is it strictly the biology and chemistry of the tea that's giving us this focused, happy edge? Or is it intricately combined with the comforting psychological ritual of boiling the water, steeping the leaves, and just taking a moment for yourself every day? Think about that beautiful interplay between objective science and the psychology of our daily habits the next time you put the kettle on. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the science behind your everyday world.